My name's Grace Turner, and after 40 years of marriage, I thought I'd seen every shade of love a heart could bear. Turns out, I was wrong. It was a warm July evening, the kind of night where the cicadas hum like they're whispering secrets to the moon. I had a roast in the oven, his favorite, and a cake cooling by the window. 40 years. That's a lifetime, isn't it? I'd laid out the good china, lit the candles, even ironed his napkin because old habits die hard. Especially the loving one's dot when the clock hit 7, I glanced at the door. He was always home by now. By 7:30, I'd started pacing. By 8, the roast was cold. At 8:15, my phone buzzed. A text from Harold, my husband, the man who once wrote me love letters so long they looked like essays. Don't wait up. I'm not coming home. I'll call tomorrow. I read it once, twice, 10 times. Then the world went quiet. Asterisk, asterisk, I didn't cry, not right away. I just sat there listening to the tick of that old wall clock we bought our first year together. The one he said sounded like a heartbeat. It ticked, steady and cruel, while I stared at the table set for 2. Finally, I whispered to the empty room, 40 years, Harold. And not even a goodbye. At midnight, I blew out the candles, scraped the cold roast into the trash, and washed the dishes I'd never used. My reflection in the kitchen window looked older than I remembered, like grief had etched new lines while I wasn't looking. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. The next morning, the phone rang. I thought it might be him. Maybe he'd had a change of heart. Maybe it was all some ridiculous misunderstanding. But when I answered, a woman's voice, soft, nervous, said, "Mrs. Turner? My name's Clara Reed. I think we need to talk." Something in her tone told me she wasn't selling car insurance. "Do I know you?" I asked. I'm with Harold," she said, and her voice cracked. "I didn't mean to hurt you." The air left my lungs. I had to sit down. "With him?" I repeated. "Yes, ma'am. He told me it was over between you two, but he's not home and I don't know where he is." My heart stuttered. "You mean he's missing?" She sniffled. "He left me a note last night. Said he needed time to think. He hasn't come back since." For a second, I almost laughed. The absurdity of it all. The man who abandoned me on our anniversary had abandoned his mistress the same night. Asterisk, asterisk, by noon, I was in my car driving across town. The note she texted me burned into my mind. Need time to think? Harold always did that run when things got too real. Only now there was nowhere left to run to. When I pulled up to Clara's house, she was waiting on the porch. Younger than me by 20 years, maybe more. Pretty in a fragile sort of way, like a flower that's seen too much wind. "You must hate me," she said. "I don't have the energy to hate anyone today," I told her. Inside, her home smelled of vanilla candles and confusion. She handed me the note, trembling. "Clara, I'm sorry. I've made a mess of everything. I need to clear my head. Don't call Grace, she won't understand." I folded the paper and slipped it into my purse. "He always underestimated me." I murmured. We called the police that afternoon. They said they'd put out a report, but adults vanish every day. "Give it 48 hours, the officer said, like 48 hours was nothing. Clara made tea. We sat in silence, 2 women bound by one man's cowardice. Asterisk, 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 2 days later. Harold was found, alive, sitting in a cheap motel on the edge of town, surrounded by empty whiskey bottles and regret. When I walked into that stale room, he looked up like a child caught stealing cookies. "Grace," he whispered, "I didn't think you'd come." "I didn't," I said. "Clara did. She's waiting outside." His face twisted. "She shouldn't be here. Neither should I, but here we are." He rubbed his temples. I just needed to breathe. 40 years, Grace. It felt like I was disappearing. I laughed sharp, bitter. And you thought another woman would make you visible? He looked down. I'm sorry. You always are, I said. But you never change. I left him there, sitting in the ruins of his midlife crisis. Clara followed me out, tears streaking her cheeks. I didn't know he'd still been lying to you, she whispered. I believe you, I said. He's been lying to both of us for years. Asterisk, 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 weeks passed. Papers were filed. The divorce moved slow, like molasses uphill. I sold the house, the big white one with the porch swing, and bought a little place near the lake. People whispered. That's what small towns do. They built stories to fill the silence. One morning, Clara showed up at my door. I thought you might need some company, she said, holding coffee. I hesitated, then smiled. Only if you brought cream. We sat by the water, two women who'd loved the same man, now sharing stories instead of sorrow. Turns out she'd been a nurse, kind-hearted and lonely. Harold had promised her the same dreams he once promised me. He said you didn't understand him, she confessed. I chuckled. That's Harold's favorite sentence. The day he realizes he doesn't even understand himself will be the day he grows up. She smiled through tears. I think I needed to meet you. Maybe we both did, I said. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk months later. On what would have been our 41st anniversary, my phone rang again. Unknown number, Mrs. Turner. A man's voice asked. This is Dr. Wells from County Hospital. Your husband's been admitted. He listed you as next of kin. My first instinct was to say ex-husband, but something in my chest ached. Is he okay? He had a mild heart attack. He's stable now. I went. Don't ask me why. Some bonds don't dissolve, they just fade to scars. When I walked into his hospital room, he looked smaller somehow. Time had folded him inward. Grace, he croaked. Harold, you came. Someone had to make sure you're not terrorizing the nurses. He managed a weak laugh. You still know how to make me smile. I'm not here to make you anything, I said softly. I just wanted you to know I forgave you. His eyes filled. After everything? Forgiveness isn't for you, I said. It's for me. I refuse to carry you as my burden anymore. He nodded, silent tears slipping down. I turned to leave. Clara's been worried, I added. She shouldn't be, he murmured. I told her to move on. Then maybe you finally did something right, I said. And walked out. Asterisk, asterisk. That spring I opened a small bakery by the late Grace's table. Every loaf. I needed carried a little bit of healing in it. Clara came by often. We'd laugh over coffee and trade stories about customers instead of heartache. Sometimes people asked if I was lonely. I'd smile and say, honey, peace isn't loneliness. It's freedom you don't have to explain. One afternoon, a teenage girl came in crying. Her boyfriend had broken her heart. She sat at the counter and said, Miss Grace, how do you know when it's really over? I looked out the window where the sun danced on the water and said, when the lesson's learned, sweetheart, that's when it's over. Asterisk, asterisk, exactly 1 year after he left, I drove back to the old house. A young couple lived there now. Laughter spilled from the porch. I parked across the street and watched for a while, then placed a single white rose on the mailbox dock. That was the night I finally said goodbye, not to Harold, but to the version of me who thought she couldn't live without him. When I got home, I poured a glass of sweet tea, lit a candle, and whispered, Happy anniversary. Grace, you made it. And for the first time in a long time, I meant it.